The most anticipated trailer of 2017 has dropped. Star Wars The Last Jedi. We are here at Star Wars Celebration. So I want to apologize to you guys if the audio sounds a little bit weird. I'm not in my regular studio. I'm actually in a different city here in Orlando, Florida, enjoying Star Wars Celebration. The trailer is out. Also with this video, because we don't have a lot of footage to go on, I'm not going to overly edit it. You're just going to get, a picture, something more podcast style. But everybody's hyped, and we have to talk about this trailer. Now, on this video, I want to discuss the final line in the trailer where Luke Skywalker says, "It's time for the Jedi to end." That's some very ominous words. And joining me to discuss this, please welcome a man who I've wanted to have on a discussion for quite some time. He is here with me now, bunking with me at Celebration. Please welcome the exalted one himself, Dash Star. Say hello.
Greetings, exalted ones. Thanks for having me on, Danny.
Yeah. And guys, if you're looking for a full, thorough breakdown of the Episode 8 trailer, we will provide that over on Dash's channel, but because we're not in our regular studios, the internet here is not the best, so I'm not exactly sure when that'll be up. Whenever it does go up, though, I will put a link in the description, but right now, if you check out the description, you'll see a link to Dash's channel. I'm sure most of you guys are already subscribed to him, but check him out for sure if you have not. But like I said, whenever the video goes up, it will be up. We'll have a thorough breakdown, scene by scene, of Episode 8, but I just want to focus on the end of the Jedi, which is what Luke Skywalker is alluding to. Now, it reminds me of Episode 3, when Palpatine tells Yoda the Jedi are no more, or so he thought, because 2 of them survived. Maybe more, probably just 2. Well, there were more, but 2 in the main films. I'm not going to talk about Kanan and these guys. There's a few more out there. But still, now we have a situation where the First Order is angry, the First Order wants revenge. But it's interesting, Dash, man, because that line, that's going to be a line that is dissected forever. Now, you have a video on your channel, which I will link down below for you guys to watch, called "We Already Know Where Episode 9 Ends," or How Episode 9 Ends. I just want to say before we go any further that we're going to be speculating, so this video may contain what I'm calling accidental spoilers, meaning if we're right,
Which we will be.
We probably will be.
90%.
Right? So just letting you guys know, if you want to be totally in the dark, check out some of the other content. But I think you'll want to join this discussion because it is fun. Okay, so Dash, the end of the Jedi. They have been giving us clues in all Star Wars media since Disney took over. Yeah, about the change of the Force. Now, when Force Awakens first came out, we were hearing that there was an awakening. And, of course, the awakening was Rey. But could the awakening also be the enlightenment of Luke Skywalker? Because, some of our buddies like Making Star Wars have talked about how there are, and again, minor leaks here, warning for you guys, that the story going forward is that Luke is going to discover that the Jedi teachings, as Palpatine said in Revenge of the Sith, are narrow-minded and dogmatic, and that there's actually more to the Jedi. In fact, Anakin himself in Episode 3 says, "There's things about the Force Jedi are not telling me." So even Vader, who was very Force sensitive, could tell that there was more going on. Your video broke down that there are secrets of the Force that the Jedi themselves are, I don't know if it's hiding or maybe ignorant of.
Right. So the video basically just talks about one big pivotal spoiler that they threw in the front of the Force Awakens novel. And it was by the Journal of the Wills. And you probably heard the Wills recently. Chirrut Imwe was Guardian of the Wills. And so I did research. And I was like, what the fuck are the Wills? What because originally it was a plot device used by George Lucas to explain what Star Wars was. These beings called the Wills, it was originally what the Force was. And they kind of said, this is the story. It changed to
the Force of others.
The Force, right.
Yeah.
And then the Wills then morphed into what the Jedi sprung from. So in the EU, they were called the Jedi, but they didn't believe in this dogmatic light side like the Jedi. They believed in the light and the dark, the balance, like the Bendu. And so the reason why the Bendu, the Wills, this grey has come out is because George Lucas was adamant there was only the light and the dark. The hero, the villain, he wanted that to portray real life. And so we have this gray, right? This new gray area where Disney said, you know what, let's bring this into canon. And let's explore this, you know, because the Jedi and the Sith are just going to battle forever, never ending. Surely, you know, once Luke loses, like, Ben Kenobi, his aunt and uncle, Yoda, everything that he loves over and over, and then finally Kylo fucking ruins his new academy. He's like, that's it, there's got to be a better way because the Jedi keep failing and we're destined to do this forever. And so the poem that is attached at the front of the Force Awakens novel, look it up if you don't believe me, it is the biggest spoiler because now we know the Wills are this grey, earlier concept of Jedi that, you know, if Luke looked up and was like, how do I find something better? That's where it would lead him. It says, first comes the day, then comes the night. After the darkness shines through the light. The difference, they say, is only made right by resolving of the grey through refined Jedi sight. Now, obviously, we know the day and the night could be the Jedi, the Sith. After the darkness, obviously, shines through the light, which could be Luke's new academy or Rey. But then this whole grey part comes in, and, you know, Luke's line saying the Jedi have to, it has to end. Clearly, he's a firm believer that they're not right, that the dogmatic, it's over.
Their teachings, yeah. And in fact, to go even further into the Force Awakens novel, which I think gave us a lot of clues, there's that line, which I've been talking about it with all of our Star Wars buddies for a year now, that when Snoke in the novel tells Kylo Ren, you are special, I'm paraphrasing, because you are the perfect balance of light and dark.
Right.
They're hitting us with that over the head. Then in Rebels, we've got the Bendu. The Jedi are this, the Sith are this, I'm in the middle. So we're seeing Disney subconsciously plant the seeds in our head of, could the outcome of this be the realization that, like in the real world, this is where it gets deep here, bro.
Yes.
In the real world, good people do bad things and bad people do good things. And most of us as humans, we try to do good, but we slip up. Like, maybe not as badly as Kylo Ren. I don't think most of us have killed our fathers, but still, you know, we make mistakes from time to time. And I'm wondering if that's a direction that JJ and Rian Johnson, because the thing is, here's the thing, is, and I'll talk about this when we do our breakdown, J.J. Abrams, as a writer, he has a lot of influence on this trilogy, and he's always one of those guys that does a lot of mystery stuff to kind of screw around with your head. And I'm thinking that a lot of the stuff in Force Awakens will make more sense when Episode 8 and 9 are finished.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, you couldn't be more right about the dichotomy of good and evil. Like I said, there is a clip out there of George Lucas saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that if you're a good person and you're selfless, you're light, and if you're bad, you're, you know, dark, if you're selfish. And he wanted to push that narrative. There's 2 points in that agenda, like, this is how it has to be, and this is my story, to a point where if you think about it narrative-wise, where do you go? Where do you go? And real life doesn't, I mean, it doesn't just contain the light and the dark. There's this gray area. Yeah. There's this, you know, the questions that came out in the EU, especially like a game like Knights of the Old Republic 2, where, you know, say Darth Kreia would guide you and you'd try and help a hobo, but by helping him, he got, you know, in giving him credits, he then got robbed. Those questions where your mind was blown, that was so outside of the light and the dark, just these 2 things that were taken at face value, it really makes you think. This whole concept of the grey, and obviously Luke, all he's been doing is thinking, how did this go wrong? And let me tell you something. You take a man, his ability to have sex and bear children away from...
Anakin had the biggest blue balls in the galaxy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Surely that had to end, and it was just like it was ruining itself over and over. Maybe that's the Force showing the Jedi, look, this isn't sustainable. If you go too far light, the Force is going to push back. You go too far dark, like Palpatine, the Force is going to push back. The Force is like, in my primitive mind, like the ebb and flow of the tide. It goes in and out at the moment, like high tide, low tide, and it's the light and the dark. The Force just wants balance, and it corrects itself. So every time, you know, whether the Empire's ruling and then something happens, you know, like Ewoks kick the shit out of stormtroopers. This is the Force.
We'll talk about that one day.
Later. This is the Force in its big infinite wisdom going, we need balance. So it's funny because, and this is the best thing, Snoke says verbatim, you know, if Skywalker comes back, Jedi are gonna come back. Skywalker in this trailer is like, motherfucker,
there's no Jedi.
I don't want to be a Jedi anymore. So it's funny. They don't want to be Sith over in the First Order. He doesn't want to be a Jedi. They're all in this gray kind of area figuring it out, right?
Well, another thing, too, is I love this. Pablo Hidalgo, Filoni, this whole group of writers have definitely dissected these films. Go back to episode 3 again. Whether you like the prequels or not, it's irrelevant. Palpatine talks about the dogmatic, narrow view of the Jedi, but he's also dogmatic and narrow-minded and egotistical, because he doesn't even know that their prophecy about the Chosen One came true. If he was smarter, he wouldn't have turned his back to Vader and tried to kill Vader's son like he did in Jedi. Like, it was one of those things where he calls them narrow-minded when he's also narrow-minded. I mean, he was a great military strategist, a manipulator, political.
Skywalker was right.
Yeah.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
Yeah.
And like that,
he was right.
He's 100%.
But think about this, though. The Jedi's overconfidence was their weakness, because they were sitting there fighting this war, and they didn't see that right beneath them, literally beneath them in the Tarkin novel.
Yoda actually, Yoda says that in Rebels, which of all things you wouldn't think you get that insight.
And Palpatine
He's like,
says your arrogance blinds you. They're all
right.
arrogant.
They're all arrogant, but they're all kind of right. They have the insight. They're like, you're a piece of shit, and here's why. And they're right, but they overlook their own type. Like that, it's like they have no insight.
I love it.
Yeah.
They don't have any self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
That's what it is.
No self-awareness.
Yeah, I love that. So where's the story going to go? He's training Rey. Rey is going to be probably learning a little dark side stuff here and there. I'm not going to feed into any of the Rey Palpatine. We're not talking about that right now. But obviously, Lord Santeca at the beginning of Force Awakens says there cannot be no balance without the Jedi. So there have to be, at the end of this story, some kind of, maybe not Jedi.
Maybe Jedi. I think
some kind of balance.
But here's the problem. The First Order was very much, the Knights of Ren are setting up, they're a satellite group of the Sith, right? So they're an offshoot, which Adam Driver himself has said.
They're fanboys.
Right, but they're an offshoot, there's something different, but they've got the belief system, and it's a cult-like thing. On the opposite hand, what we've learned from the comics and Lord Santeca's journeys was that Lord Santeca was a firm believer in the Church of the Jedi.
That's right.
I think that he's still like very dogmatic in his own way about that. Whereas Skywalker losing that academy, he's gone hands off. He's like, fucking Santeca, you can keep preaching, but I'm gonna be out here on Arcto looking for real answers, because I don't believe in Church of the Jedi. I think he's abandoned that whole
Luke
way
obviously
of teaching.
found something.
He found
something.
Yeah. That's why I said the Wills, which are like I keep saying the Jedi, but the Wills are the most ancient version on Jeddah of the Jedi before the Jedi just went pure light. They're the light in the dark. When he finds those manuscripts that are like, dude, don't fall out of balance because the Force is going to push back, this is where he's come to that realization. I believe 100%. I already said before, like, this is he's going to come to that. If you look at any manuscripts pre-Jedi, they're going to be like not light, and it's going to blow their minds, because each one of them, as you said, just so dogmatically going, it's got to be the dark, it's got to be the light. The guys before them were like, dude, we're living in harmony, baby. It's like the dude out of freaking
what?
Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, which dude? I was thinking Ninja Turtles for a minute there. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, no, and that's a good point. And the thing is, man, before we close out of here, it's one of those things where I don't know exactly how the story's going to end when it comes to Kylo and Rey. That we don't know this yet, obviously, but Luke Skywalker is, like Yoda said, the last of the Jedi in the traditional sense. The idea of the Jedi it's very interesting, bro. We'll go back to another point we have to make. Mm-hmm. The Jedi would take children at a very young age, bring them into the fold, train them up into being Jedi. And what did the First Order do in Captain Phasma? They would take children and train them up, and it's the same thing. And it's like they're telling us, like, both sides are hypocrites. They're doing the same freaking thing, dude.
Yeah, that's fucked up. And
look how well that works. They're brainwashing the kids into thinking a certain way.
Look, and the first moment you really felt Anakin dark-siding hard in, the movies, at least, was...
when his mom died?
Yeah. I love you. Like, come on, dude. Actually...
you kind of feel for him.
Oh, fuck you. You're holding your mom who's been tortured and God knows what?
Yeah.
Woo! Like, dark side time, yeah. So, and that's the Jedi's fault. I was like constructing a list like of just shit that Jedi do that's, you know, off the charts kind of evil.
Yeah.
Well, I take that as one of them. You can't, how do you justify taking kids? Like, I know that they're like, well, if we don't take them, they have attachment.
That's right.
You're like, wait a second, it kind of seems natural that they want to have sex with other people, they want to marry them, attachment. You're the one
their
that's
mothers.
Yeah, you're the one that's making it unnatural and saying that the Force doesn't. Well, fucking, they're a part of the Force and it is natural. It's not dark side to love your mom.
That's right. Exactly. I agree with you 100%. It's not dark side to love your mom. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We want to get you guys' this is going to be a big discussion. We're going to be talking about this for another 3 years, I think, till this saga is over. But the clues are there. What did Luke mean by this is the end of the Jedi? The Jedi, in the traditional sense, the ones that we learned from the prequels, the training of Obi-Wan, Yoda, these are legendary figures in the history of Star Wars and the whole lore. But basically, from what we understand, and there are some leaks coming out about this, very minor ones, because Disney's super tight when it comes to Last Jedi, that Luke is going to make some discoveries about the Jedi being wrong about their teachings. And of course, the Sith were wrong about their teachings. Like Dash said, it's in the middle. Check out Dash's channel. We got a full breakdown thoroughly of the trailer. By the time many of you see this, it should be up. If not, it'll be up very soon. Subscribe to Dash and you'll have it pop up right in your notifications. No big deal. Let us know what you think down below. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
We've been trying to do this for a while now.
Yeah.
And now we're doing it face to face.
I know, it's so much fun.
What a trip. I love talking Star Wars because it surrounds and binds us and all that good stuff that you always say. So we'll talk to y'all down the road.